In this video, I'll be discussing why I don't think Chopper's monster point is his Devil Fruit Awakening and what I actually think it will be. Also, like, I really just need Chopper to have a dope Devil Fruit Awakening form because post time skip, he's had a few moments here and there, but in terms of fighting, he's been absolutely shafted. So this video is not just to get my theories out there, but it's also to make Chopper great again. But let's just get into it, starting with what we know about Devil Fruit Awakenings. Now, the main two people we've seen showcase this are Katakuri and Doflamingo, but they're both Paramecia, so it should be very different from Zoan Awakenings, and compared to the awakened zones of the Jailer Beasts, it is very different. The Jailer Beasts are actually one of the main reasons a lot of people think Chopper's monster point is his awakened form. Just appearance-wise, they're very similar. They're both like a hybrid form of like humanistic features. They've got like abs and lower legs. They're walking on 2 feet and all that, but the top half is like very animalistic. And this physical appearance for the Jailer Beast does make sense because hybrid form, as far as we know, is like the strongest form for Zoan users. The ability to have your humanistic features of being bipedal and using your intelligence, as well as mixing in those crazy animalistic physical boosts, is the best way to use your Zoan. So yeah, the Jailer Beasts looking like really jacked furries makes sense. Another interesting thing about the Jailer Beasts is that despite them being different animals of different sizes, they're all about the same size. Like one of them is a rhino and another one is a koala, but they stand at the same height. But this also isn't that surprising because when we compare somebody like Lucci, a leopard Zoan, and Kaku, a giraffe Zoan, yes, Kaku has a longer neck, but they're still similar in height. But appearance aside for the Jailer Beast, they clearly have upgraded stats across the board. They're much stronger than your average Zoan, like being able to do some serious damage to somebody like Bon Clay and Luffy. Incredibly durable as well, like bullets don't really affect them, and they also recover really quickly, and also really fast. Like in the fight of Minotauros against Luffy, he was almost able to speed blitz Luffy and give him the first Thunder Bagua, and this is an aspect that's actually very different for Chopper's monster point. Like Chopper's monster point, very strong, very durable, but definitely not fast. And that's really the only main difference between Chopper's monster point and these Jailer Beasts. They have these like similar boosts in strength and durability. Their appearance is very similar as well, but this missing speed boost I think is actually very important because it means that Chopper's monster point is incomplete. I don't think it would make sense for all these other animals to have an upgraded speed and for their human fruit to lack that speed. Sure, if you make the comparison to average humans and average animals are faster, but the logic really doesn't apply in the One Piece world. There are some very fast people. So yeah, for me, this is the first thing that's convincing me that Chopper's monster point is not his true Devil Fruit Awakening because he's missing the speed element. On top of that, I don't think the Jailer Beasts are completely awakened zones, or at least they didn't get properly awakened. Like yes, they are certainly strong. If we're comparing them to like your average Zoan like Dalton, they're definitely way stronger than him. But they were able to be defeated by like pre-time skip Luffy, who was pretty strong, but in comparison to now and the people we're facing now was like just a little bug. And you might argue like those Zoan Devil Fruit users aren't like super special zones, but awakening I feel like is a pretty big deal. So for them to reach that level, they should be greater than Luffy. Like we could even make the comparison of like, do you think those Jailer Beasts are stronger than Lucci and Kaku who don't have their Devil Fruits awakened? I would say no. So like to me that means the Jailer Beasts are really not at their full potential. On top of that, there's a few more interesting things about them. First off, they're kind of incoherent. Like they can't speak. They do showcase some sort of emotion, but it feels like their animalistic features just completely overtook them and they don't have their human brain anymore. We also like never see them in their human form. Like at first when they first showed up, we were like, what are these things? Are they even people? And then later on, Crocodile revealed that they were awakened Zoans, but them never being in human form makes it kind of weird. Maybe it's like for them to be intimidating and impel down, but I sense something suspicious going on there. And also their lack of human features and control is very similar to Chopper's monster point pre-time skip, but post-time skip we saw Chopper was able to grow and gain consciousness and gain control of monster point to the point where he could control himself and communicate to people. He does still have a limit on that, but it shows that it could be done. So that's another reason that makes me believe the Jailer Beasts are incomplete. So in my opinion, I think the Jailer Beasts are probably forcibly awakened somehow. There's a number of ways you could explain this, and you could definitely see the world government and the Marines doing this. So yeah, I believe that we should not look at the Jailer Beasts as completely awakened Zoan examples. So now begs the question of if they're not actually awakened, awakened, then what does a fully awakened Zoan look like? Well, I still think we could use the Jailer Beasts as examples. I think the fact that they are in hybrid form, that's a thing that should stay true. The enhanced stats across the board of speed, durability, and strength, I think that should stay true. But the one thing I feel like is missing is the enhanced specialty of whatever your Zoan is. Like those 4 Jailer Beasts, it really doesn't matter who has which Zoan. They all pretty much function the same and have the same strength, and I don't think that should be true for every Zoan, or else like what's the point of having different Zoans? So I think if you're a fully awakened Zoan, you should have unique abilities. Like maybe a kangaroo has like more better boxing abilities, but especially like crazy jumping ability. Oh, and also you definitely should still have your human intelligence and your ability to like kind of judge things and function as a human. So how exactly does this now apply to Chopper, who has the human fruit? First off, I think a lot of people underestimate the power of the human fruit. Like it gave Chopper the ability of human intelligence, and it's not like a very low level of human intelligence. This man is on the path of becoming the greatest doctor ever. So it not only gave him human intelligence and the ability to like communicate and learn, but it gave him a crazy amount of human intelligence. He's probably one of the smartest people on the crew. So I'm actually against the idea that if a regular human ate this fruit, it would become very useless, because I think at the very least it boosts their intelligence to another level. The other thing is, it also gave Chopper a boost in strength. If you think about how strong he gets when he goes into like heavy point, those aren't his reindeer traits, those are his human traits. And there are other forms that elevate Chopper's like horns and stuff, but a lot of it, like his jumping point and like his heavy point, those are like human abilities that he's gaining and making him stronger. Your average reindeer definitely doesn't have the physical stats that Chopper has right now. Like if Chopper wanted to go back and mess up his dick deer dad, he absolutely could. So yeah, I think even if your average human ate this fruit, they would not only get that intelligence boost, but also a strength boost. And also like really think about Monster Point, which is a product of Chopper's devil fruit. Is it his reindeer traits giving him those monstrous stats, or is it the human fruit? I think that's obviously coming from his fruit, and if you think about it, he's almost the opposite of the Jailer Beasts. The Jailer Beasts are drawing their power from an animal Zoan, while Chopper is drawing power from a human Zoan, and we've seen Monster Point is stronger than those Jailer Beasts. So first off, we definitely cannot underestimate what this fruit is capable of. You also gotta remember, like, Sengoku's fruit is a version of this fruit. Now, I'm not gonna go as far to say Chopper's fruit is better than that or anything, that's a mythical Zoan, but just that connection there should show you that Chopper's fruit is pretty great. So, now that we know what Chopper's fruit is capable of, what will his final awakened form look like? And to me, we've kind of already gotten hints of what it will look like, because I think it's gonna be a combination of all of his forms into one. Chopper, of course, learned how to go into several forms with his Rumple Ball. Each form is an elevation of a different physical trait. So Heavy Point, as I mentioned earlier, is really his strength feature. And if you still don't think his human fruit makes him stronger, just look at his Heavy Point post time skip. He looks like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So yeah, Heavy Point is like his strength focused one. He did have an arm point before the time skip, and that was just like completely focused on his arms. It looks like he got a bunch of roids in his arms, but he doesn't use that anymore post time skip, but I'm guessing that's because he was kind of able to merge it into his Heavy Point. So now his Heavy Point has that strength already, so he doesn't need a completely different form for it. He's also got a very defensive point and guard point where he just turns into this giant fur ball, and it looks silly, but don't sleep on guard point, because this was one of Chopper's biggest post time skip feats. He was able to tank a hit from Big Mom and guard point. So yeah, guard point is pretty damn good and is kind of elevating his reindeer element of like creating a bunch of fur. And he does have another form similar to that with horn point, where his horns get a lot bigger and he's able to use them better. Now what's interesting about horn point is post time skip, he looks a lot more human. Like he's still standing and looks human, but his horns are a lot bigger. Pre time skip, he was still in his like regular deer form, but his horns were bigger. So you're definitely starting to see this shift as he grows stronger of him becoming more human-like. He also had a form before in jumping point, which was focused on jumping, speed, and agility. And also he has kung fu point, which you guys already know if you watch my videos, I absolutely hate this form. Not only is it goofy as hell, but it's the only form that makes absolutely no sense. Like every other form is specializes in something, focuses on like a special trait or something, but this form just makes him look goofy and all of a sudden he knows kung fu. It makes no sense at all, and Oda just loves using it for some reason. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst, so we're just gonna move on from it. Because he has another form that is far more interesting to me, and that is his brain point. Now, post time skip, he's pretty much much in this form all the time, but what was interesting pre-time skip was that he was often using that scope ability. And I'll admit, this one doesn't make a lot of sense either. Like, why is he able to just use his hooves and like make a little scope and like all of a sudden analyze people's weaknesses? He hasn't really used it since, so maybe Oda realized it was kind of an ass pull, but I still thought that was kind of cool and really drew in on his like human abilities. But yeah, those are all his points. He does also have like walking point, which is like his regular reindeer form. But yeah, pretty much with each and every form besides Kung Fu point, they elevate like a physical stat of his or some sort of physical trait like his horns. But at the same time, we do have that final form of Monster Point. And Monster Point is interesting because it elevates multiple things. He has incredible durability and incredible strength. And also his horns as well are massive. But at the same time, he's now incredibly slow as well. He doesn't have that agility and speed that we see he's capable of. So Monster Point almost feels like he sacrificed speed and agility and like really gave a drastic boost to strength and durability. So how exactly do we make Monster Point complete? Well, first off, I don't think he has to sacrifice any strength and durability. I think the strength he showcases in Monster Point and also that durability and those giant ass horns, those all stay. But he doesn't have to be that big to be that strong. I think he'll still be pretty big, but it'll be a little more downscale. Like by One Piece standards, maybe he's around like 10 to 12 feet tall. But instead, he's like now jacked and ripped, like Heavy Point, but now like elevated to another level. And he should have like a little more fur for that defense, but also his muscles will act as that defense. Pretty much what you see in the thumbnail, I think is gonna be a lot closer to what it looks like. Also, shout out to the artist who drew that. It's a great interpretation. Link in the description below to their art. But yeah, for Chopper, I think he's gonna look a lot more human and still have the physical traits of Monster Points. But now with him being smaller, he will also have the speed and agility to be really fast. And then the final thing you can combine into it is his intelligence. That's a big thing of the human point, so maybe once he awakens it, he's able to like kind of scope everything out like all the time. So not only is he incredible fast and strong and durable and has like huge horns, he also becomes like incredibly intelligent. It's almost like Ultra Instinct Chopper, and like maybe he knows Kung Fu or something like that. Like that point is so pointless. So yeah, essentially I think the awakened Devil Fruit form of Chopper is going to be a 12 feet tall Dwayne The Rock Johnson with a lot of hair and some big ass horns with an Einstein brain, and then maybe took some Kung Fu lessons from Jackie Chan or something like that. So yeah, this version of it makes a lot more sense to me for his Devil Fruit awakening. It also would just be a lot more badass than seeing Chopper in his Monster Point still being his silly self. That just kind of took a lot away from Monster Point, like he's not a monster anymore. But yeah, I'm really hoping Chopper is able to awaken his Devil Fruit and showcase something badass like this. And I am really hopeful for Chopper because of how much he knows about his Devil Fruit and how he's experimented with it with the Rumple Balls. So I think maybe when the Straw Hats finally go up against like the Blackbeard Pirates and Chopper has like a real fight against like Doc Q or something like that, he's able to finally surpass his limits, awaken his Devil Fruit, and showcase a badass fight. But yeah, that's my theory on Chopper's awakening, his true Monster Points. But what about you guys? What do you think about my theory? Do you have any theories of your own on what Chopper's true Monster Point could look like? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. Helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to keep up with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified. The King Pirates crew now over 8,700 members. To interact with your fellow crewmates, you can check out the King Pirates Discord, linked in the description below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm DKing4, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.